Hi, I'm with Andrew Parsons from Resolution Capital in Sydney, manager of the Nedgroup Investments Global Property Fund. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Nick.
Andrew, could you briefly let investors know, first of all, what the objective of the fund is, and secondly, how you and your team go about achieving that objective?
Sure. So the objective of the fund is that we're trying to deliver to our investors a return that over the long term is greater than inflation. So our investors have a store of wealth with hopefully a real rate of return. Now what we do is to minimise risk, we thoroughly research the real estate that underlies the vehicles. We look at their balance sheets and we try to find management that are capable of really extracting the most from that real estate.
Great. I've heard you often mention that the supply dynamic is such a critical one to understand. Where are we in the cycle of supply at the moment, perhaps across sectors or geographies and generally?
Yeah, it's been a very unusual 5-7 years where, despite relatively high levels of occupancy in most portfolios and most real estate markets in general, we've actually seen very, very low levels of supply. Now, as a consequence of that, we've seen landlords enjoying quite strong pricing power, pushing up rents. As a consequence of a sustained period of quite high rent growth and very strong investment demand, we are finally starting to see supply respond in some markets. So it's quite a strange dynamic in terms of where we are in the cycle. Prices are elevated, we're starting to see supply increase, but the supply is still not what we would consider to be excessive. So it's important to monitor these levels of supply and try and position the portfolio into those segments which face the least amount of supply, but yet the greatest amount of tenant demand, so that landlords can continue to enjoy pricing power.
And an interesting area for me is the area of retail, and obviously the impact of Amazon, the internet, e-tailing. How are you seeing the retail sector respond to that, and what are some of the dynamics you look at and try to understand?
Yeah, it certainly has been perhaps one of the more topical areas of the real estate market. For many years, people have been worried about the impacts of the internet on bricks and mortar shopping centres. And clearly it's had an impact. I don't think anybody could dispute that. But the great thing about shopping centres, if they're in a great location, is that they can adapt to changing consumer tastes. So what we've seen is the effects of Amazon has definitely to kill some categories. But in other ways, it's actually strengthened some of the shopping centres because retailers are looking for what's called an omni-channel solution, basically a clicks and mortar. So they're going to service their customers through physical stores as well as online. So it's been a very interesting decade really for consumers as they've basically adopted mobile technology which helps them shop more efficiently. And as part of that, they're looking for that offer that gives them the greatest experience and the best outcomes for their shopping dollar. So they're able to compare online as well as through in-store to see where the best deals are available and to get to know the products that much better. So by and large, what we're finding is that the great shopping centres, the flagship stores, are actually continuing to attract shoppers, but they're using technology, as I say, to augment the shopping experience.
And just, you've got a mandate that you can look across the globe, anywhere, and you aren't benchmark cognizant. Where at the moment are you seeing the biggest opportunities?
Well, clearly technology is a driver of tenant demand. And what we're seeing is in some areas of the real estate market where technology industries are congregating, such as San Francisco office market, we're seeing very, very strong demand dynamics and relatively limited supply. So clearly the technology office market's doing very well. It's also fair to say that some of the data centres have benefited from the shift towards the cloud and more online e-commerce, etc. So what we're seeing is data centres have been enjoying very strong tenant demand and again strong pricing power. Otherwise, we're seeing also in industrial, likewise, because retailers and e-commerce providers are looking for the most efficient logistics warehousing. And so we're seeing very strong demand for high quality logistics space. So technology is a major theme that we're seeing running through the major tenant demand areas of real estate.
Great. Thanks very much, Andrew.
Thank you.